Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Man with Hats podcast, where we don't talk about the band Man with Hats. I'm Man with Fedora. I'm joined with Man with Shorter Brim Fedora and Man
With no fedora.
with no fedora. Hey, everyone, welcome to Paper Movies. We're back. I don't know what season this is.
4.
Season 4. I can't believe it.
Season 4.
Season
4.
of sequels, yeah.
Season of sequels. This whole season, we're tackling sequels to things we've done the last couple seasons. And to start off the season, we have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade by Rob McGregor. All right. So, Last Crusade is about Indiana Jones trying to find his father, who's gone missing, on a quest to find the Holy Grail. Can he trust anyone? Well, you'll have to find out. So this was the big, playing it safe movie. Because Temple of Doom, although it made a bunch of money, it upset parents and it upset critics. So he played it safe, doubled up on the comedy, and, you picked a safe thing like the Holy Grail, something everyone knows about, to go after. And of course, we brought back the Nazis, a lot of interesting safe things are in this. And I can't stress that enough. This is a safe
Nazis. Safe.
You could say the studio chose wisely.
Yeah. Although not so much with the special effects.
That's true.
There's some very bad CGI in Last Crusade that did not age well, especially in 4K. But this was sort of an interesting one. This is the only Indiana Jones novelization where the author wrote other Indiana Jones books.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob McGregor went on to write technically 5 more Indiana Jones books, although 4 were published. And Rob McGregor, I like him as an author, and I don't with some of his things, and I'll explain. He really gets the indie character down, and he can write an engaging story, but he rushes all of his endings.
Well,
I've read the first 2 of his indie novels, which are prequels. I've read Peril of Delphi and Dance of Giants, and they both have very, very rushed endings. Adam's read Peril of Delphi and would probably agree with me there.
Yeah.
But Rob McGregor is the really only one of these authors that's for all 4 novelizations that really adds a lot to the story. Even things that weren't even scripted, he just adds on, sort of makes it his own, changes out dialogue.
Yeah, I remember when it goes from the flashback from when Indy was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and to the present where he's stealing the cross of Cordova. There was like a, what was it called again? I'm sorry.
The Cross of Coronado.
Coronado. What did I say? Ignore that. But anyway, he's stealing the cross. And anyway, that's a good way to kick off the season. It flashes back to the present where he's stealing that cross again. But in the novelization, there was it was like an extended scene, but in the movie, it just immediately cuts to him being captured again.
Yeah, it goes from him getting the fedora to being punched in the face.
Well, I think, okay, let's start. We're going to go from the beginning, right, with this novelization.
Yeah.
We get a lot of the same stuff that we see in the film. But the chase, which to me is actually the most boring part of the film, was the flashbacks, like the introduction. It was kind of neat, but still the most boring, in my opinion. And that when he's fleeing from the bad guys the quote bad guys that had the as Adam would say, the cross of Colorado, right? The cross of
Well, you
Coronado.
did Colorado that they're in Utah. I think.
But there's like this huge chase scene that they wind up on a train, like the circus
Yeah,
is in
circus
town.
train.
I do like that in the novelization, one of the kids references, like, instead of out there hunting for treasure, they're like, "Oh man, the circus is going to be in town. Shouldn't we go like hang around town for the circus?"
Mhm.
And then we get the train with all the circus animals and everything on it. So
Yeah.
I thought it drug out a little bit too long in the book.
Yeah, well, there's added things like Indy runs into all the circus freaks.
The 400-pound human marshmallow.
Mm-hmm.
Bearded lady, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I did like that it kind of gave us, like, not just in the novelization of the film, but it gave us like the origin of Indy's hatred towards snakes, which was kind of funny because like 3 seconds earlier in the film, like he picks up a snake like it's nothing, but I guess all it took was just falling into a tub full of them.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, he nearly drowns in snakes.
Yeah. But the ending of that scene, what I will say about this book, as it deals a lot with Indy's relationship with his father, there's it. I kind of liked that it kind of flowed, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the Parallel Delphi. It kind of flowed, like, because like it kind of goes into more depth of like Indy's and his father's like strained relationship, and I won't spoil it because Matthew hasn't read it.
Mhm.
But Jeremy, I know that you'll know that like like when I was reading it, I was remembering that book, and I kind of thought that it kind of flowed pretty well together.
Yeah, it was very apparent. So the Indiana Jones prequel novels came out in the 90s. They came out after this. This is Rob McGregor's first work with Indiana Jones. That's one thing he brings in to his novels. The other's the Vision Quest, which I think we should just talk about that now because it's so weird. So I guess at some point, and you got to understand that Indiana Jones had never had a break from the age of 9 to the age of like 60.
Well, I guess
has
now to
no
the age
break.
of 80. In a
Yeah.
couple months, it'll be the age of 80, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing at that point. There's like next to nothing between like the Indiana Jones and the Army of the Dead and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There's like nothing there. He finally got to relax. But like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, like chronicle from him being 9 to 20. And apparently in the middle of I guess after he was in the First World War and coming home and going to college, he went back to where he lived in Last Crusade, and I guess went with the Native American shaman, and he fasted for several days until he having a spirit quest. And in the novelization, they say he's 18. It's plausible because he ran away with Pancho Villa when he was 16 or 17, which is not only a young Indiana Jones thing, that's also referenced in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And in later Rob McGregor books, they get a little wishy-washy on when this happened, but in the novelization, he's given an age, and I don't know if it's a contradiction or not.
Yeah, I can't recall
It's
an age drop.
it's my one complaint with this book.
Yeah,
my mind.
I agreed with Adam about I know you went a little bit further with the relationship with the dad, I guess, being extended in the other material, the further adventures. I thought the novelization did a fantastic job, like getting a closer look at that strained relationship than what we saw in the film. Of course, we knew there were issues, but this really dove into more of like what the result was after that chase scene on the train. He comes in, he's excited, he's got that cross, and he's like, "Dad, I got to show you something. I got to show you something." His dad's like, "Go over there, and I want you to what is it, like
Count to 20. Yeah.
count to 20 in Greek, and then like all these other languages." And it's like his dad just did not care. So you're kind of like, oh man, poor
I
kid.
know. He had the cross of Connecticut in his hand and he didn't care. You know? let's just call the cross everything except what it actually is.
Good one.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the cross, it ends up coming back later a few times. This is like with the previous books, like him going after the idol and Raiders of the Lost Ark really isn't brought up again, except for Belloc shows up. In Temple of Doom, there's no once he's done with the ashes of Narachi, it's not brought up again. But in this, it's brought up a few times, and then finally, when they're on the blimp. He and his dad are on the blimp. His dad asks about the cross. He's like, "Oh, I gave it to Marcus." And his dad has the retort of, "Well, Marcus won't be able to put it in his own museum." Because they're always like trying to get the one up on one another.
You know, I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now that I think my favorite part about this novelization, like my favorite addition, has to do with the cross. Because it ties into things later on down the road when we get to figure out who the main villain really is. And like somebody was hired to kill Indiana Jones, and that's how he was able to finally get that cross of Coronado.
Okay, yeah.
So I thought that was a pretty cool tie-in or tie together, however you want to call it, of that's why Indiana Jones was able to find this cross years later and get it so easily. Somebody was trying to lure him there, to kill him, in order to get Indiana Jones out of the way so that this search for the Holy Grail can happen.
Yes. Or it may not have. It's never... Right. Indy assumes that that's happening, but it's never confirmed.
Right. It's never like a confirmation, but to me, I was happy with it. And it was like, that would make sense.
Yes.
So I was on Indy's line of thought there.
Yeah, because it's a whole setup on the boat. We get additional scenes on the boat of him sneaking around, although he loses the fedora and doesn't get it back. That was a plot hole.
I like the mention of Panama Hat. Like, that's his name, Panama Hat. Just a mysterious guy.
Yeah.
I thought that, honestly, just as a novelization itself, I kind of think Rob McGregor, like, kind of hit it out of the park because, like, I kind of feel like it's a good blend of, like, it follows the film pretty well. There are some changes, and I'll get into that in just a minute, but for the most part, like, it follows the film pretty well with like a good addition of a decent amount of additional new stuff. But like, I did notice though, like, that whole scene where they find out that Indiana Jones, like, he's really he goes by Indiana because that was his dog's name.
Yeah.
And they're all like laughing at him about it, and like, that happens in the end of the film.
Yeah, and I think it works better at the end of the film.
Yeah.
But I think it was scripted that way.
Yeah.
A lot of the changes in this book are deleted scenes that they filmed and they just didn't work. Or they never, because the comic book adaptation, I actually like looked it up. I don't own the comic book adaptation, but I went on the wiki because there were so many things added. I was like, are there a bunch of deleted scenes? Because unlike Star Wars, where we have almost every deleted scene that was ever made, including like pre-rendered CG stuff that no one cared about. Like Indiana Jones, with the exception of Raiders of the Lost Ark, there aren't available deleted scenes for any. Even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull doesn't have deleted scenes available. So I like was scouring the internet last night, like trying to figure this out because well I'll get into one of them. The World War I flying ace that's drunk on the blimp. Part of that was filmed, and part of it they just decided, I don't feel like it.
That's funny. I preferred for a scene that I prefer in the film over the novelization, the blimp scene. Definitely the film. I think it played better on screen.
It was a lot. There was a lot going on there that was unnecessary.
The total Han Solo moment when he punches out the that general or whoever he was,
Colonel.
Yeah, I can't think of his name or rank. He punches him out and he's like, "No ticket." And everybody's like pulls out their ticket. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought a lot of the like, I know like for funny moments, like it's like it's better to see these in films, but even with like reading it, I still kind of chuckled. I'm just like, that was a funny part. And like whenever like Indiana Jones like takes the Lord's name in vain, and then his father just slaps and he's like, "That's for blasphemy." You know, I still chuckled at that.
Yeah, or the Hitler scene.
Yeah, when I watched the film recently, I still laughed at it. Like he's just
it's so absurd.
Yeah, I think it was brilliant. Like,
I think it's brilliant too, but it's just
because you're like, oh crap, how is he going to get out of this one? He just kind of like has his book, like he just takes it out, and signs it, and he's like, "There you go."
Doesn't even care. Doesn't even pay attention to what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's an additional scene in there that was in the comic that they never filmed where he punches out another Nazi. It's in the novelization too, where it's like the guy's like, "Why aren't you at your post?" It's like, "Oh, sorry," and punches him in the face.
I still like the scene where Indy and Henry Jones are tied up in the chair, and like they're in that little rotating door, and they're like in a room full of Nazis that don't like notice them. And then like Sean Connery perfectly delivers, "Our situation has not improved."
Yeah. To me, it was a total like Scooby-Doo type moment.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
I call that compensating for Temple of Doom. Like any of those moments, it feels like, we were very depressed and unhappy that whole last film. Throw some more jokes in.
Yeah, Temple of Doom. It's kind of disappointing because because James Caan, who wrote Temple of Doom, also wrote the Return of the Jedi novelization, and I heard that like from Noah that's actually like one of the like that's personally one of his favorite books. So it was a little disappointing.
Were you on that one, Adam? Were you on our Temple of Doom?
I was on Temple of Doom, yeah.
Okay, so we were all three on there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
I wasn't on Rambo.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Were there any Star Wars references? Speaking of Return of the Jedi, were there any Star Wars references in Last Crusade that I may have missed?
Not in the book.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but
and in the Temple of Doom, we had the Cafe Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
I think it was called Cafe. Yeah, something Obi-Wan.
The nightclub's called Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
The only Star Wars reference was in the film, but that wasn't really technically related to Star Wars. It was the classic Wilhelm scream that's in most of the Star Wars films.
Every Indiana Jones.
I think it's just Lucasfilm and projects.
I love the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
Well, they also get that Star Wars sound effects in all Indiana Jones movies.
What?
I did, especially like now that I know, like I went to school for this. I can just hear them. It's so clear that Lucasfilm has their own sound effects that they recorded back in the 70s and early 80s, and they don't have to record anything ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to try to add a Wilhelm scream somewhere in this video or this podcast.
Just
Vidcast.
insert it whenever I mispronounce the actual name of the cross. The cross of
Oh man. Was there any other scene that you guys thought was better in the book than in the film?
Well, they explain how they got out of the sewer.
Yeah.
That was
That
nice.
whole scene was different. I thought that was
I'll jump into this because I want to lead into that. Certain characters I think are portrayed better in the novelization than the film.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus is portrayed more as he acted in Raiders and not like he has dementia like he does in the film. That's always kind of bothered me.
Gets lost in his
Marcus
own museum.
just seems like a really nice, like cool dude that's kind of a father figure to Indy in Raiders, and then suddenly in Last Crusade, he's just like dim-witted and just like too much of a bookworm and like got lost in his own museum, which I think they make that joke in the book and it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
But he's kind of trying in the novelization.
I can't quite remember. I remember in the book there was that scene where Indiana Jones tells his father that he I don't want to mispronounce the name of that place he visits. No, is that temple? And he's just like, "Oh wait, you found it? Like, you found my notes? Like, you found it?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "What was it like?" Like, there were rats. He's like, "Oh." Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and
was that in the film? Because I don't remember it in the film unless I just
yeah, it's shorter in the film.
Okay, because I did remember like that stood out a little bit to me. It's like I don't remember seeing that unless it just kind of just went over my head.
Right.
Which,
yeah.
But now this book was I really enjoyed it. Like I think it's like on par with the film. Like I don't want to. It's not better or worse than the film. It's kind of like equal.
Yeah, there's two different beasts. I will say though, Elsa Schneider is the other character I think is a lot better in the book.
Mm-hmm.
She's more flirty. You could see the chemistry between her and Indiana Jones, other than physical attraction like you get in the film. And although I didn't care for the whole she was an Olympic swimmer, I thought that was weird and unnecessary.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a stretch, but
that's just to show that, I guess, she's physically fit.
Yeah, and she can get out of that swimming through sewage.
yeah.
I just want to point out how gross that water is. That has always bothered me. I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, but that's not only a sewer, but it's got petroleum coming out of it, so it's extra flammable.
Extra flammable. It's like a bomb under the city.
I mean, like, I wouldn't be.
Why would any rats be down there with all the petroleum?
What are they eating to survive?
They're eating the. They're eating the fish with 3 eyes that you see from The Simpsons.
Just still not on those Crusader bones.
They're eating moldy cloth. But yeah, that's always weirded me out. Also, in the book, they don't do the funny gag with the smacking of the tile, like in the film.
Oh yeah, with the librarian. Yeah. He's just like smacking. He's like,
he thought it was a stamp. He's like, what is going on here?
He's like, I don't know my own strength.
Yeah, that was a goofy part.
Yeah, while I watched that, I was like, if this was a Marvel film, that would be the Stan Lee cameo right there.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like
also,
the
they
stakes
would
were.
they'll just landmine that joke. They would take it too far, especially now, but
Oh yeah,
it's the
I
perfect amount of time.
yeah. I thought that whole scene though, they left out that these people were behind them.
Mhm.
You know, when they were down in the tunnel, we see in the film people following them down there
Mhm.
and starting the fire. I liked how it was just kind of left in a mystery, like they're
Yeah,
in the tunnel.
you hear a scuffle, and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and then there's the fire that just out of nowhere, and they're like, "What is happening?"
Mhm.
So I thought that was good.
I
Also, it is confirmed that Elsa gets bitten by rats. What a worse! I can't think of very many things that are worse than getting bitten by a rat
In a sewer,
in a sewer.
and then your arm getting in that sewage.
uh
Infection.
bitten
Yeah,
by a tub full of 100,000 snakes.
yeah, you'd have to sit in a bathtub of peroxide
Yeah.
to clean yourself.
That'd be kind of one of those moments if it happened to me. I'd be like, I shall wash, but I shall never be clean again. um, I was
You'd
gonna
be
say
blind.
the ending where I did notice there was one near the end where they're trying to pick which is the actual Holy Grail, and the other guy was like he whenever he chooses poorly, and and when I liked how his death was I like how that was like written. I mean, sure,
Yeah.
it looked cool in the movie, but like how it was described in the book was like it didn't like dwell on it.
Mhm.
Like it didn't go like paragraphs of like his, decaying. It was like handled in like just a few sentences, and I thought that I was
And
like
it's
it was
left
great.
Yeah.
up to the imagination because
Yeah.
probably because they didn't know because that was an early CG effect.
Hmm.
They didn't know how they were going to do that.
I thought that whole scene too, the stakes felt higher.
Hmm.
Once
Yeah, yeah.
Indy's dad was injured, it felt more I felt
Damn it.
like it was just had a bigger impact in the book than it did in the film.
Mhm.
They did leave out a line though, and I'm actually reading the page right now. It was a line that I actually liked in the movie. It was where Indiana Jones picks up the Grail, and he's just like, "Hey," like it kind of like recognizes that like the humbleness of Jesus, and like the like he's like, this looks like the cup of a carpenter, and like
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and the other guy was just like, oh, like this one was like the most elegant cup, like this is
Mhm.
fitting for the King of Kings. But I'm just like, but like
agreed.
yeah, but it didn't like acknowledge that like that Jesus was very simple but and very humble, and
Right.
I like that
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
more emphasis on that in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I agree. I had one problem with the tank scene, the big like building up to the climax of the film. I
Mhm.
thought that was a little bit hard to follow. I'll be honest with
It
you.
is a little wonky.
Yeah.
It's a very elongated 2 chapters. I like that they established that that's a World War One tank
Yeah.
because that's not what a Panzer looks like. I've seen enough World War II movies. That's not a Panzer,
That's all
and
they
I
can
love they have
afford.
to trade a car to get it. Like,
Where would you guys what I was wanting to ask, like since we've read all three of the original trilogy novelizations, which I don't know, like would we consider these a trilogy, since there's the
well, I mean, it
crystal
was collected as such.
true. um I was gonna say, would you guys how would you guys compare this to Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I think it's better.
I
I
like
think
this one.
I think it's significantly better. Right, all of these books are good.
I mean, we
Um,
learned some stuff we didn't really want to learn about in
Raiders, yeah.
yeah,
Raiders of the
thank you,
Lost Ark.
George Lucas. I don't
Yeah.
think we expressed that enough in the Raiders Paper Movies Book Club, but that's a George Lucas. That was his. He insisted on that.
That's just so bizarre.
Yeah. I want to say that you see, yeah, Raiders, like I said, is classic, but I agree. I really did. I think I enjoyed reading this. Probably about the same amount, but like they were Raiders and the Last Crusade are like great in their own ways,
Yeah.
except for that bizarre scene, obviously. But
Yeah, yeah.
but that they were just like very pleasant to read, and like I said, they're great examples of novelizations. They don't have to go into too much depth on other stuff that wasn't in the film, but
Mhm.
you don't have to follow the film 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
I
Lord. Oh.
I think that after reading this, of the 3 that we've done so far, Temple of Doom used to be my favorite Indiana Jones story.
Really?
But after reading this one, I like this one. Last
Well, what
Crusade,
was
I
the
think, is
one that you guys watched all the time growing up?
Raiders.
Temple of Doom.
And me was
You
Last
say
Crusade.
Yeah, I've watched Raiders probably a lot more than I did the others, just because like I'd be introducing Indiana Jones to like my friends or when me and my wife were dating, we were like let's have a movie night, let's watch Raiders.
hmm.
See, I like the Last Crusade because like it has the Grail, it has the funny stuff. Like when I was a little kid, like I can't tell you how long I would laugh at the the library scene. Like that still cracks me up. But I can tell all we can all say Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls not one.
For those
Find
of
out next
you,
month.
yeah,
find out next.
for those of you listening, I kind of want you to encourage you to watch this video because I'm kind of like having a hard time like not chuckling, like just seeing Jeremy's half of his face, buried behind a pop filter, and like you just see his eyes and his fedora and everything like that. It's like he's staring into my soul right now. It's like
What's
he's staring.
up, Menno?
Well, in this case, Jeremy, if you're staring at me like that, it's like you chose wisely.
Yeah. Well, okay, I do have one more complaint. It's a
Okay.
minor complaint. Why is the knight played for jokes in the book? He's like wandering around like, are you the one who's gonna take over?
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's falling down. He's like crawling around on the ground.
They played him off as that
guy.
Yeah, they played him off as that guy that's just like he's waiting for the next shift to come in or something like that.
Yeah, poor old guy. He's just like, are you going to relieve me of my duty? No, not me.
Yeah, he's just like, well, can I at least go to the restroom for 5 minutes?
So it's like I was hoping that there would be closure and like you'd actually see the roof cave in on him. So he's like, he's gone. But no, he's just like.
I will say the part that like really got me laughing a little bit though with that was he walks up to Sala. He says, "Oh, good night," and then Sala says, "Good night." that was good.
Oh man,
no, that was good.
But poor Sala gets beaten up in this book.
He does. He had a better introduction in the book than he did the film, I thought.
Yeah. Well, they filmed it like that, but they couldn't actually get the camel to spit on anyone. I think and that's because there's stills from that that I saw on the internet of him trying to wrestle the camel. Which is a little different. And Marcus isn't confused. He's a little out of his element, and he's worried for the Joneses, but he's not like lost and asking everyone if they speak English.
He's not like a Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
I kind of got the vibe that it was more like it was from another novelization that we read, Hook, Toodles. Like he's just like he's like lost. Like he wasn't like that guy.
Yeah, he's not Toodles.
Yeah, and like you mentioned at the top about the endings being abrupt. I mean, this book ends exactly like the film. They just get on horses and just ride on into the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where are you going?
The difference is there's good closure between Henry and Indy in the
Yeah.
movie that really isn't necessarily in the book because they move the junior explanation to earlier on, which it's nice to have that and like after the whole tank thing, but like at the same time works better at the very end of the film.
Yeah, I will say that part was like it was a little weird because like it happened like literally after everybody thought that Indy was dead.
Yeah. And
And his
also
father,
Indy lost his pants.
This is true. So is he just wandering around the last scene of this, according to the novelization?
No,
pantless?
he finds another pair of pants that miraculously fit.
Oh yeah, like a uniform, right? From a Nazi.
it's kind of like the 70s Incredible Hulk. After he turns back from the Hulk, he always finds clothes that
Fit.
that miraculously fit from like laundry lines or something like that.
Yeah, it's not like the Ang Lee Hulk where Ang Lee wanted him to be naked. Maybe someday we'll review the novelization to Ang Lee's The Hulk.
Maybe.
I have
That'll
it
be
over
when
there.
I retire from paper movies.
Hey, I actually saw that book at the comic book store the other day.
I own that book.
Oh, you do?
I think we all do.
Yeah, I got it in a lot of a bunch of other books. I was like, oh,
Yay!
yeah.
Watch, we read it, and it actually turns out to be a masterpiece. You know?
That was the first time I think I was ever embarrassed watching a movie. I was watching that. I was like 8, I think, 7 or 8, and I was like, I don't want to be here.
Actually, I don't think I have it.
Oh my god. Why do I have it?
I don't have it. They're all in alphabetical order behind me. So,
well, hey Matthew, I know what I'm getting you tomorrow.
Yeah, that and a copy of Catwoman.
oh yeah,
I already got him that.
He needs another copy.
Well, thankfully I haven't found Zardoz yet, or you know.
I've been looking for you, Adam. I've been looking for you.
Yeah,
Please
so have I. Hey,
So-
that one's short.
Overall, I think I enjoyed this novelization just as much as the film.
Me too.
Same.
Yeah.
I think there's a good balance of emotional scenes, the comedy,
Mhm.
same, funny in the book, funny in the film.
There's additional scenes that are
Yeah.
fun. I don't want to spoil all of them. You all should check it out.
Yeah, so I recommend this book to people that want to read it.
Absolutely.
Novelizations.
Same here.
You guys want to give it a rating?
Yeah. I'll go
Adam,
first.
what do you want to? What's your rating, Adam?
A.
A? Jeremy?
I'll give it a 6 out of 5.
Oh. I give it an A.
5 stars. Highly recommend this. It's well worth your time.
Yeah.
Put a smile on my face every time, and that's all I can ask for with a book.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's good that we're doing this because next month, be prepared for something completely different.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, what do you call this? What were you rating?
An A.
Okay.
Indiana Jones gets an A from me.
All right. Well worth your time. I think this might be one of the best ranked paper movies book clubs we've done in a while.
We need to seriously just create a stamp, like paper movie seal of approval.
Stamp of
It's-
approval.
Yeah, seriously. Well,
then-
better yet, we should get a publisher to put that seal on their books.
Well, I was
That would
gonna
be
say like
awesome.
we should just buy copies, put that stamp in there, and just like donate them to like Goodwill or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking like
It's like-
I would love to get some little stickers, and just little round stickers like our logo, and just put them on books that we approve. Like Paper Movies Novelization Book Club, or like on the inside, so bookstores can't be like, "Who's doing that?" People get home, they're looking like, "Who's Paper Movies?"
All right. So,
Well,
But anyway,
anyway, well worth your time. And
Yeah.
next month, next month's book club Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull by James Rollins.
There will be no appearance of the cross of the corn dog.
Yep.
I'm just imagining what the cross of a corn dog would
That's the best way to end this podcast, right?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay Gucci, everyone.